There are a lot of monsters in the world. The most dangerous ones don't hide under beds or live in closets or lurk in the shadows. Monsters like cholera, E. coli, and typhoid wage war against our very existence. Today alone, over 9,000 people will die from waterborne disease. Diarrhea, the most common killer of children in the world, will kill almost as many people today as died in the Twin Towers on 9/11. We know what these monsters are, we know how to defeat them, and we know where they live. They live in dirty water. According to the World Health Organization, over 2.1 billion people lack reliable access to clean drinking water. And for most of my life, I didn't care. I didn't care about these people dying in far-off lands, faces I would never see, names I would never know, stories I would never hear. Even if you laid out all the statistics for me, it really didn't matter because they were just numbers. Too big for me to wrap my mind around, too overwhelming for me to address, and frankly, too distant for me to really care. But something happened on January 12th, 2010, when a magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck the island nation of Haiti, with its epicenter just 16 miles west of the capital city of Port-au-Prince. The result of that catastrophic quake was hundreds of thousands dead, a city left in rubble, and one of the largest humanitarian crises of my lifetime. And the earthquake that shook Haiti also shook me. It was the catalyst that stirred in me a monster long dormant, a fierce and violent and life-changing monster that refused to accept the status quo for vulnerable people, that demanded that I do something. It was the awakening of what I call my compassion monster. I remember hearing the news from Haiti, and I just began to reach out to everybody that I knew, all my friends, all my colleagues, to see how I could help. I was rabid. And somewhere in the midst of frantic phone calls and emails, I remember thinking, on one hand, we have to do something about this. And then on the other, like, why do I care so much? Why this disaster? Why these people? Why this place? And the truth is, I still don't know. All I know is from that point forward, I cared. And in the years since, that compassion monster has taken me not only to help the people of Haiti, but others around the world and across the street. It's inserted me in places and among people who haven't had all the advantages that I've had in life. It's urged me and coaxed me and aggressively antagonized and challenged me to get proximate to the issues that I'd spent most of my life ignoring and avoiding. And it's been an incredible, enlightening, fruitful, devastating, heartbreaking journey. I've seen hunger and disease and famine and thirst and drought and flood and complete destruction. But I've also seen hope. Hope that in spite of the deck being stacked against them, in spite of the challenges that they face, in spite of the monsters in their lives, that these resolute people can and will rise. It was my compassion monster that first took me to Kenya in 2011, and then back over and over and over again, until eventually my wife and I uprooted our family and made Kenya our new home. And it was there that I discovered that it takes more than just caring to actually affect change. It was in Kenya that my compassion monster moved into adolescence with all the insecurities and rage and metaphorical acne. It wasn't always pretty, that rage-infused version of caring. I saw problems, so many problems around me, and so few solutions. But I worried about being the stereotypical naive American with a savior complex, the guy who tried to fix problems he couldn't even begin to understand. And so in that space, with a desire to help, but a concern about what would happen if I tried to help, a doubt about my ability to do anything, All those things just sort of piled up into this overwhelming sense of just being in way over my head, drowning. Sure, there were a lot of problems, but I didn't know what to do or where to start. But then I saw this. This is the Uzima UZ1 water filter. Bill Coble, the founder of Uzima and the developer of this filter, was one of the first people I met in Kenya. And every time I talked to Bill, I could hear his compassion, his frustration at the situations he saw around him, and his desire to move from recognition of a problem to a real solution. And in his efforts to remedy what he saw as one of the greatest challenges among the poor in Kenya, Bill developed the UZ1 filter. It uses the same technology as in kidney dialysis machines. Tiny hollow fibers filter out over 99.999999% of the bacteria that cause waterborne disease. This filter is a monster killer. It's easy to use, requires no electricity, has no running parts, no replaceable parts, no ongoing operating costs. All you do to clean it is backflush it with clean water, and it'll last for up to 10 years. I didn't know any of that when Bill first showed me the filter. All I knew is what I saw with my own eyes, what you see here today. And despite the dramatic unveiling, this is not a magic trick. It's not an illusion. This is a solution. An effective, efficient, long-lasting solution. And it only costs $30. I didn't know any of this. And I didn't know much. What I knew was that for people living day to day, drinking dirty water, a filter like this is hope. It's hope for households where drinking dirty water means sick kids miss school, adults miss work. Some young girls receive no formal education because fetching and boiling water is, for some reason, their responsibility. It's hope in places where deforestation is occurring at an alarming rate, just so people can have enough firewood to do things like boil water. It's hope for families who have to choose every day whether to spend money on clean water, medication, or food because there's not enough money for all three. It's hope for moms, dads, aunts, and uncles who are suffering from pulmonary disease from a lifetime spent hunched over those fires and who have a desire for something greater for their kids. You see, this water filter isn't just about clean water. This is about health and education and gender equality and economic empowerment and environmental protection. It's hope for a life that isn't defined by sickness and disease and death. Hope instead for a life full of life. And over the past 2.5 years, that hope has become a reality for nearly 250,000 people through Uzima water filters. And we're only just getting started. In the town of Lynette, in Kenya's Rift Valley, a community of 12,000 homes received Uzima UZ1 filters in the first part of 2016. Since then, they've seen an 89.9% reduction in the instances of waterborne disease in that community. Households with school-aged children have seen a reduction in the number of school days missed from 56 days per year to 3 days per year. They've seen an annual household medical savings of over $225 in a place where many people make less than $2 a day. If you do the math, the economic impact of that one project, 12,000 households, has been over $2.7 million every year in medical savings alone. Waterborne disease has become so rare in Lynette that all the medical clinics in the area have started giving away their medications that they use to treat waterborne disease, giving them to other clinics outside of the area. Because those pills they used to rely on for nearly every member of their community to fight waterborne disease are now just sitting on a shelf, reaching their expiration date, unused and unneeded. During a recent cholera outbreak in Kenya, we got a message from the chief of police in Lynette, and he said, "Thank you. Thank you for these filters," because all around them, cholera was breaking out, and Lynette was spared. Real change is happening. You know, I was taught growing up that I could be anything I wanted to be, that I could do anything I wanted to do if I just put my mind to it. And I always sort of thought of that DIY spirit as do it yourself for yourself. If you want to achieve something, wealth, fame, acclaim, whatever it is you most desire, you do the work, you get in there, you get your hands dirty, you do whatever it takes, and then you reap the reward. But I see it differently these days. I think perhaps the better application of the DIY spirit is this: do it yourself for others. Better said, do it yourself for us, all of us. If you can do anything you want to do something of lasting significance. If you can be anything you want to be the kind of person that makes the world a better place for everyone. The question is, what is it? What are you going to do? What can you do? You see, I never thought I could do much to tackle these global issues. After all, I'm not a technologist. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a designer. Which makes me wonder why I'm standing on this red dot today. Except for this one fact. If my mom's here, she will tell you this. From the time I was 2 years old, I've been pretty good about talking about stuff. Especially stuff I'm passionate about. And so that's what I do. I stand on stages like this, and I sit in boardrooms, and I talk to people face to face and on the phone and online, and I tell them about the devastating effects of waterborne disease in our world, and I tell them that with the right knowledge and tools and funding, we can eliminate these monsters. I use the skills that I have to make a difference in the only way that I know how, and that's my challenge for you today. Some of you have recently experienced an awakening of your compassion monster. Maybe it was when hurricanes blew through Florida and flooded Texas and destroyed Puerto Rico and much of the Caribbean. Perhaps it was when white supremacists rallied in Charlottesville and elsewhere. Maybe your monster has been stirred up by the recent rash of allegations against rich, powerful, monstrous men who have committed repeated acts of sexual harassment and abuse enabled by those around them. Maybe it's mass shootings, school shootings, police shootings, injustice and unfair treatment of minorities, of immigrants, of women. The list goes on. And for some of us, it's all of those things and more. And for you might be thinking that your compassion monster is just so angry that you're almost paralyzed. And I get it. I get it. There are days I look around and I think that the world is irreparably broken, utterly unfixable. And in those moments when my compassion monster is angry and riled up, I have a choice to make. I can feed it or I can kill it. And sometimes I wish I could kill it. It would be easier to go back to not caring. But I can't kill it. I can't kill it because it's too important. I can't kill it because if everyone like me, everyone with a burning, driving, unwavering compassion monster, if we killed them, then where would the hope be? Where would the solutions be? Humanity needs these little monsters. And so I feed mine. I feed it in small ways and large ways, in local ways and global ways, in social media ways, and in real hands-on ways. I feed it by educating myself about the issues. I feed it by committing myself to informed action. And I feed it every day through my work with Uzima water filters, dedicating myself to making a difference in a really practical way, using the right tools, one family at a time. I don't know what it is for you. I don't know what stirs you. I don't know what drives you. I don't know what keeps you up at night. But whatever it is, discover your compassion monster. Raise it to maturity. Do whatever it takes to give it the tools to become a monster killer. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the world needs more monster killers. Cheers.